Welcome to the Memorial Day edition of the Combat Vet Transition Journey. What we're going to do today is get into live call ins of people. And what I'd like to do, if possible, is get anecdotes. Anecdotes are funny stories or interesting stories about wounded warriors, friends who are no longer with us. Now, we all have these morose and stories, these gross stories, and we don't really want to hear those because nobody needs to be triggered. Nobody needs a flashback. And I'll give you an example. I'll start out because I'm thinking of a guy by the name of Tony. I wouldn't even mention Tony's last name. I served with him. He was a funny little guy. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at our initial logo out there, or you'll see the smile on the faces of guys like uh, Austin here in the yellow T-shirt. He's got a big smile, and Abe's got a big smile. Antoine in the back with the bald head has a smile. Brian Meyer has a smile here. Chris Lawrence has a smile here. I'm smiling. They're on smiling. I want the smiley guys, and that's really what this guy Tony was. He was, to put it in the vernacular, a pain in the ass. And when he came back from a mission, every time I came back, he was a mortarman. He would be out there, and he's a tough little guy from South Jersey, and he would come up to me and he'd go, "Zap, 10,000 times harder." And it was kind of irritating, but kind of funny because it was comic relief. And what Tony would do is he would get on top of the bunker because, as in all combat situations, they would target the mortarmen. They target a mortar encampments. We'd always have bunkers there. Tony wouldn't be inside the bunker. He would sit on top of the bunker and flip off the enemy. And he'd go into expletives, which I wouldn't repeat. But it was a funny situation. He was just a funny guy. I'm not going to tell you how he passed off into eternity, but I think about him often. That's one of my anecdotes, something that I enjoy. And I think about the man. That's what I think about. I don't think about anything else. So I hope you guys will check in with us, check in with the green room, and we'll get your message and we'll get you on because I really like to hear from these guys, especially those guys I haven't seen for a while, such as Antoine back in Georgia and maybe even Cody in Brazil. So let's go for it. Welcome to the Combat Vet Transition Journey podcast. Pat Frega here. Every combat vet suffers from physical and emotional challenges. I find that transition is a lifelong journey. As they say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, guys, it's up to you. It's on you. Give a call and we'll have a chat. Whatever you feel like chatting about, we'll chat. I'm looking forward to hearing from whoever wants to call. I know a myriad people have texted me and emailed me and said they want to get involved. Well, this is your shot. So let's hear from you. What do you want to talk about? Your day.
Just sent the link out. So this link, you can take and join us with a video call in.
Okay.
It's in the chat, so you can click on that and you can join Pat right away. Um, with that, while we're waiting for everybody to get situated, um, one of the things, Pat, I think that today, especially for the veteran community, is that it's it's a sad day, but it's also a happy day because we took in, we lost so many people, but yet it's in remembrance of protecting this country and the service that is it doesn't stop for us. I think that's one of the things that we keep on serving and we keep on serving our fellow veterans. And I think today is a perfect day to remember not to forget our fellow veterans that are actually here with us and to be able to reach out to them no matter what they're doing.
And that is part of the purpose, a major part of the purpose of the Combat Vet Transition Journey podcast, Michael. And what we're doing is we want happy memories of those guys. And it's funny because we had our Friday rendezvous last week at Hennessy's. And it's the first time I'd seen Chris Lawrence and Teron Jackson since our old days when we were all boxing together, triple threat boxing. And you've seen photos of that come up. And everybody was happy and we had a really good time. And it was good to know that everybody was enjoying one another, not to mention Brian Meyer, who you'll see in one of the premiere episodes we've done. It's always good to see people, and I hope to see you guys in the future. And those who can't be physically with us, I'd really like to have you here and chat right now. I'd like to see what you're doing because I haven't seen many of these guys. We haven't seen one another for years, even though you text and you'll get involved in sending little messages, which I can't repeat. It's good to see you in person and talk. So let's hear from you.
So I think we got Joe. Uh, Joe, if you're ready, can I get a thumbs up? All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring you in, Joe. It looks like your feed's a little bit slow, but we got you live and working out on site.
Okay, Joe, the Marine's on duty. You're on duty there, Joe. What are you doing, bro?
All right. So Joe's look like his signal's back and forth. So, but I think he's down with the VFW in Encinitas today, right?
It looks like he's in a parade somewhere. So whatever he's doing, he's busy. He's on the job, and we have a complete interview of Joe at the Veterans Museum, which is our backdrop today. So I'm sure Joe will be talking to us. Of course, the video feed, I mean, the audio feed isn't as great with Joe, but at least we know he's thinking about us.
Yeah, no, definitely, Joe.
Good job, Joe.
So, well, this is a Marine that I served with in Okinawa, and so this is one of those veterans that just outpours his life for the veteran. I mean, like every day, what embodies Joe is just taking care of veterans. So I aspire to be like Joe someday.
Well, in a way, you are. Joe is a veterans advocate at the VA. He's still there, and anytime you have a problem with the VA, that's in La Jolla or Oceanside, California. I know you guys are in other places. Just feel free to reach out to Joe, and Joe will be there for you. He's always been there for me. I've got myriad anecdotes about Joe.
Yeah. Looks like we got Aaron.
Aaron, all
Aaron was
right.
ready to come on, so welcome on in, Aaron.
Rock and roll, Aaron.
Hey, how you doing, Pat?
Okay, brother. It was good talking to you last night. How are you doing?
Absolutely, I'm doing pretty good today.
Good, good. I know you had some challenges back and forth, and we're going to do a complete interview on you. You know, whether it's video or in person. How's Liberty, your puppy, doing?
She's doing good. She's still napping this morning. She just had her breakfast, and you know, the dog's life.
It's a good dog's life. She's a service dog from
Shelter to soldier.
shelter two soldiers, correct?
Yeah, shelter to soldier.
No, so give us some. Well, that's an anecdote itself, and it is of itself a great story between you and Liberty. You can get into that if you want now, or give us a happy story, whatever you can have about one of your guys who's no longer with us. Did you
Well,
have
I think
anything you
you
think about?
you have to find what is happy. I think I with my job in the military, I worked for chaplains, so a lot of times, you spend people's last moments with them.
Yes.
And I did find that these guys almost had a certain acceptance of their death. They would come and see the chaplain, and then sometimes within a few days be dead.
Hmm.
So it's almost like they knew it was coming and they were making peace in a lot of ways. And that gave me peace. And I think that is happy to me that they were able to find some peace with their struggles before they were taken too soon. But one story that sticks out to me uh, every Memorial Day is Juan Venegas. He was a scout sniper in my unit. And, being a sailor with Marines, you take your fair share of flack. And also being an RP, you're the only one in the battalion. So it's, feast or famine. They either love you or they hate you sometimes. And Venegas was one of those people that always treated me with concern and respect and loved the chaplain. He was a Catholic Marine, but he showed a lot of respect to the Protestant chaplain and came to him for advice. And I remember showing up in Iraq for my third tour. I think it was our second tour together. And he comes up to me almost shaking a little bit, really in concern, and he hands me a magazine of bullets. And I said, "It's okay, man. I got my 7 mags. If we need me having an extra mag, there's some serious problems going on." And he said, "No, man, you don't understand. these guys don't stop coming when you shoot them. And what he had handed me was a magazine of hollow points.
Okay.
And it wasn't till later that I thought about how he took one of his own magazines with his own hollow points, and he was certainly more danger than me, being a scout sniper. And he took that time to share that concern with me, and it meant a lot to me. And Venegas was always smiling whenever I seen him. He went from having this really stone cold serious look on his face and being about business to having this bright beaming smile. And he had concerns for others around him, and it wasn't just me. Shortly before he died, he came into the chaplain's office and asked for prayer for a friend back home that had been struggling with some things, running the streets, getting into drugs, and he was just so concerned about him, and he had wrote him a letter.
Where was he from, Aaron? Where was?
And he was from somewhere down here in Southern California.
Okay,
I want to say Compton, but I don't think that's right. I think I read in an article he was from Simi Valley.
that's okay.
Um, but he was a young Hispanic guy. He had a sincere love for friends and family. Um, and he was just a good dude. And he wrote that letter to his friend, and he had that concern for him. And I just wonder what that friend thought when he received that letter, and also probably the news that his friend had passed away right
Well,
around.
hopefully his friend or Juan found solace in dealing with you and the chaplain. It sounds like that was a safe place for him, a port in a storm.
Yeah,
No
it
being around
was.
that. Everybody seems to gravitate to God when the Grim Reaper's in the area.
Yeah, they do. They do. I guess, sometimes they call it foxhole faith, but I just think it's something they gravitate towards while they're there, and hopefully that's something they can carry with them through life. But what I loved about the whole thing was that it didn't matter if you were Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, Protestant, Catholic, no matter what your walk of life was, as we all found common ground over there.
Oh,
And
sure.
we served together, and I think that was,
It's family, isn't it?
yeah, it's
The
family. It's
combat family.
Yeah, it was family. So he always sticks out to Memorial Day. It bothers me every year. I almost have to look up his name because I don't know if it's because of the trauma or whatever. I just kind of I lose track of his name, and I think about him all through the year. But when Memorial Day comes around, it's like it's a little much. But what I was thinking last night was you know the people that we served with, we hurt because we lost them. But that is nothing in comparison to these Gold Star families that are losing a family member. And so my heart goes out to all of them today, as they're dealing with the loss of a family member.
Well, you've helped that veteran's family a great deal with by sharing what you've shared. So we greatly appreciate that, Aaron. That was great, and thank you for all of your service, and especially your service in dealing with these guys when they're in dire straits. Because let's face it, that's the time you see people. I can tell you that from my own empirical experience. Are we good now?
All right.
Thanks, Aaron. That was fantastic. Aaron's a pretty tough guy. Aaron's been through a bit. We've known Aaron for years now. We practice yoga together, and he's part of our Friday night rendezvous group. And Aaron and I have been relatively close over the years. I've known him 7, 8 years, even though we served in different wars. He's a good man. You can see where he's helped many people. It's good to know.
So, Pat, so we've been recording for the last couple of weeks. You want to talk a little bit about the podcast and what we're on, what platforms?
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy about what we've done so far, especially with this launch. I know we're on Facebook. I know we're on YouTube, Spotify, and I think Apple. Is that right, Michael?
Yes. So if it's not there, it should be on there in a few hours. So what's really great is that we've already got a couple episodes with Brian, Joe, um,
Yourself,
some dork named myself.
all right?
But we also got what's interesting is tell us a little bit about the museum that will be released next week.
Well, there's a gentleman right next door to your studio here who has a veterans museum, and he's going back to actually World War I, World War II, and he's got relics, different replicas. He got weapons from different places, and we had spent an enjoyable day there when we did Joe Sturdivant's interview, and you'll be seeing that. As a matter of fact, uh, the gentleman that owns the place will be talking about what it was and some of the things that are there, and we may well do another podcast from the museum so we can get into some of the other different artifacts he has. I know it triggered some thoughts I had, Vietnam, because he had pictures of people such as, well, everybody, most Marines know of Chesty Puller, but then we had White Feather, uh, who was Carlos Hathcock. He's a famous Marine sniper. And we went into some of the stuff. He had pictures of him, things of that sort. So it was a very interesting museum
Yeah, let me see
interview.
if
We
I
did that.
let me get the photo of the museum uploaded. I think they'll enjoy seeing that. We got them on the backdrops, but I'll bring them up in a moment.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, we still got Joe out there on site. With commemorating veterans. So in Encinitas, I know we've got a couple in Oceanside right now.
Mhm.
I know we've got a couple in Escondido. So we've got the veterans all out there right now, taking and showing what service is really about. And it's not just about barbecues and a day off of work.
Oh, that's for sure. Going out and having sales and getting drunk. What concerns me are the veterans who really can't share anything, the people who hide around Memorial Day because they have bad feelings and bad thoughts. That's why I've asked for pleasant thoughts, such as what I shared and what Aaron has shared about people he knows where it made him feel good. It makes the family feel good because we've all got those horrible stories. But if you got any good stories, something that's pleasant, then let us know. Even though someone may have eventually passed off into eternity and onto Valhalla, I'd like to find out, something that was pleasant. Why do you found these guys interesting? And we all found them because you get very close, become very close when you're in combat, becomes your quote unquote family. You know, that's really what this is all about. That's what the podcast is about, and that's what I believe Memorial Day is about.
Now, what besides the podcast, we do have the website. The website is where you can actually sign up to be able to join us on future episodes. So
Hmm.
definitely, that website is in the chat for everybody. But also, don't we have a Facebook page, Pat?
We do have a Facebook page. It just went up. As a matter of fact, we got well over 100 likes so far on it. It's only been up for a day or two. Uh, and I've been focusing, truth be told, on future podcasts, on people I'm looking forward to. I think everybody will enjoy some of the episodes we've done, especially the bomb tech. Uh, one of my favorite people, who's been up there, Brian Meyer, and he walked it through there, and he wants to come on again. Brian may be a co-host again, also. Chris Lawrence is another guy who's in our. We oftentimes have Chris up there. I'd like to hear more about Chris as to what he's doing, because his life has been very interesting. His transition's been interesting. He's a success. Uh,
Yeah, I could. Yeah, we could. Let me see if I could pull up the site real quick, and we can show a little bit of the episodes.
okay.
Um, yeah, give me 1 second while you um, tell me a little bit more about your interview with Brian while I get that pulled up.
Well, Brian and I have known one another. We met one another at Peter Horse Prosthetics, and I remember when we first met and what he'd gone through. He shared a few things with me, and I was really impressed with listening to Brian and what he's done and how far he's come uh, in his transition. As a matter of fact, as we speak, Brian is in Alaska fishing, and he finds it better uh, than really sharing anything at this point in time. And I don't want anybody to share anything. It's going to bring back bad memories. Brian's a really charismatic guy, as many of our guys are. I think you'll enjoy Brian's interview when you go through it.
All right, so right now we got the web page up. You can see that we've already got it preloaded with a bunch of great episodes. One of them is with Brian. We've also got Joe on there, but we also got Pat talking and sharing. The reason why he wanted to really develop and expand this community platform. And so definitely check out the trailer and learn a little bit more. But I think one of the big things is definitely sharing with fellow vets, getting the word out there. Because at the end of the day, we all have our challenges, but we also have our success stories. And I think that every success story is just going to help another veteran down the road. So, um, the more success stories that we have to share is the better, because we don't know that James in Tennessee might have hear that one message from James or
Brian.
Brian here in California. And so, no matter what stage I think any of us are in our transition, I think those success stories is really what we're here for, to help people
Well,
and to help veterans.
every combat vet has physical and emotional maladies from which we suffer, and it goes on for a long, long time. As I set forth in my initial uh, soliloquy, for want of a better term, we got guys from World War II who are having nightmares until the day they died. But people like that, and that's Bill Landry, Billy Boy, speak about. He's a success story, and he's a funny guy. He's a good guy to be around. But here's a guy who had to lie his way into the service during World War II. He's 15 years old. He forged his birth certificate. Yet when he came out after serving not only in World War II, but in Korea as well, this guy went on to be a vice president of Bank of America, and he didn't even have a high school education. He was just an interesting guy. He knew more about financing than most people know. And that's a story that makes you feel good. It makes me feel good sharing it. It makes me feel good. And I think other people who see that, because there are many of our fellow combat vets, and I'm talking about not only those who served in Vietnam, but those who served in Somalia, Iraq, Afghanistan, and other places where we aren't even supposed to be. These guys are wallowing in a state of isolation, desperation, quiet desperation, and they need some sort of motivation. And if you get a motivation from one of your guys, somebody who has done well, I think it helps people go on, because there are resources out there, and that's one thing we touched on with Joe Sturdivant, because Joe helped people. As a matter of fact, he helped Michael. Michael will tell you how he helped him if you look at Michael's interview, and it helped people go forward. So I think it's stuff is out there. It's just a matter of being there and doing something. You know,
Yeah, so it looks like we got Ant- Antonio,
Antoine,
Antone,
Antoine.
Antoine.
Hmm.
Thank you for joining us today. If I could get a thumbs up when you're ready to come and join us, we'll bring you on screen for your message. So while we wait for him to get to the, all right, we got a thumbs up, and so here we come.
Hey, brother.
Hey,
How
brother,
you
how you
doing?
doing? Good. How
All
about yourself?
right. I missed your smiling face. How you doing? There
Good,
you
good.
go.
Got a
Yeah.
got a day off, day off from work today, so pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's right. You're a full-fledged police officer in Atlanta right now, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are you enjoying it, or are you still
Yeah,
learning?
I'm still learning. Got a lot to learn still. It's definitely it's got a similarities to the military, but it's definitely a very complex profession for sure.
Well, congratulations on that. Moreover, congratulations on your new bride.
I
You got a
appreciate it.
you've got a blended family there now, more ways than one. What do you have now? 5 children altogether?
Yeah, 5 kids. We like
You got a
the,
basketball
the
team.
Brady
You keep
Bunch.
going. Keep going. You're gonna be working on a platoon.
No, I think we good. We're gonna stay at 5.
Now you sent me a text the other day in which you spoke about thinking or calling, relatives of your own brothers you serve with who are no longer with us. What
Right.
I'd like you to do, if you can, now you can share whatever you want, but I'd like to have some happy times. See,
Sure.
when I think of you, I think of the smile on your face and the shine on your head. You're always good. Not to mention, and we're going to do a full episode. We're going to do a full episode on what your transition journey. It's very interesting and very inspiring. But can you share something with us about one of your fallen brothers or sisters and what happened? A funny story, something funny or interesting to you. You can say anything you want, but I'd like to bring people up on Memorial Day. What do
Sure,
you think, brother?
definitely. Actually, I have a my best friend, Corporal Keaton Coffee. He was killed in action on May 24, 2012, in Helmand, Afghanistan, Helmand Province, Afghanistan.
Mhm.
Him and I went to boot camp together, and he from day one we really formed a bond together. He's one of the most unselfish son of a gun that I've ever met. Very very quiet guy. He's a quiet he was a quiet professional,
Where
and
was he from, Antoine?
he was from Oregon.
Okay. So
So
you got along because you were living in Atlanta at the time
you're right.
when you
I
when
was
you
living,
enlisted?
actually, well, we met in Paris Island, actually. Uh,
Okay, Paris Island. I've
So
been
he,
there, done that.
instead of him
Yeah,
coming to San Diego,
yeah.
going to San Diego for boot camp, he actually ended up at Paris Island, because his parents were divorced. So at the time, he lived with his father. Here in the East Coast. So that's how he
So
got
you
in.
got to hang out together in the swamps there in Paris Island,
Yeah, yeah,
huh?
definitely don't miss those sand fleas. That's for sure.
Haven't changed it. It's this is an interesting note, and we'll get into this later on. You
Mhm.
have an interesting background. Who was it? Your great grandfather who was with the French Foreign Legion at Dien Bien Phu?
That's right.
That's where it was?
He
Oh,
was a legionnaire. He was in World War II and also in Vietnam as well.
well,
So um, he was he was very very well versed. So he was one of the special operation guys during his time. So it was
well,
very.
he's taught you well, brother, because you're one of my favorite people. So
Thank
tell
you.
us about your buddy from Oregon. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. So Keaton was he was engaged. He had a kid on the way. Unfortunately, she's well. Fortunately now she's 8, and unfortunately for him, he didn't get a chance to see his daughter.
Mm.
So I keep tab with his fiance from time to time, and keep tab on the kiddo. And but overall, things are Um, things are pretty they're doing pretty well. Keaton, like I said, he was a very quiet guy, funny guy. I remember a story of us during a down we had a downtime. We were playing football with the British Royal Marines at the time. We were, I think, at Camp Dwyer at the time, and it was our day off, so we invited them to play a game of football, American football. They used to their football is soccer,
Right.
so so we invited them, and it was nighttime. It started to pour down on us, and it was January time frame, so it was cold, and it was cold and a rainy night, and we played football. We all put our night vision goggles on because we couldn't see anything in front of us. So it was a muddy night. So we actually played football. Ended up turning into a match of rugby. So they ended
Yeah.
up playing football as it was rugby. So we ended
Rugby,
up
sure. That's a tough
getting
sport. Yeah.
right because in British, in those
Yeah.
European country, the
Yeah.
closest thing to football is rugby for them.
Yeah. The Brits they love their rugby. Yeah.
Exactly. So.
So were you and Keaton on the same team?
We actually were on separate team, and that son
Oh,
of a
how
gun
about
almost he hit me so hard my NVG almost broke.
that? Do you share
So
that story with his family as we speak, Antoine?
I would definitely,
See, that makes you feel good, doesn't it? It
definitely.
makes you feel good. You've always gone out of your way to make people feel good anyway.
Yeah.
You're really, even though you're a recon Marine, you don't have a tough edge. You don't have a tough attitude about you. You haven't. I think you've always brought people up. I recall when we were having our Friday night rendezvous at Bagby's, you'd bring all manner of people there. Uh, brought them up there just because they needed something to do on Friday nights. And truth be told, we're doing the same thing now in San Diego at Hennessy's Tavern. It's I think you'd like it there. If you're ever back in San Diego, you have to come because we have our own private back room back there, and it
Awesome.
works out pretty well.
Well,
But
I miss you guys. I miss all of you. I miss Aaron, Abe, miss the whole group. Miss you guys, and I'm looking forward to. I was telling my wife actually that her and I needed to take a trip there. So
I bet.
one, I could, we could break bread,
Hmm.
and again, and also two, I I'm eager for you guys to meet her. She's definitely a sweetheart, and she's
Love to
very
meet.
supportive, and she's actually helped me out throughout my transition as well. So
Part of your support group. Well,
absolutely
you mentioned the different folks at that Bagby's group, and I'll tell you where people are. You probably know Abe is currently in Arizona,
right.
even though he wants to go to Hawaii at some point in time. And you remember Millage? Millage is in South Carolina, and Austin is around Chicago. He's out there with so people are dispersed all over the place. We have it, so I'm looking forward to having people come out or even come out and visit you guys. So I
Absolutely.
have when we do our rendezvous somewhere. But more importantly, I'm looking to do a live, a live Zoom chat with you. So we'll have you on there, and at that time we'll set it up, give you enough advance notice, and if you want to have your wife, children there, that's fine. It's up to you because that's all part of a transition group, which has really helped you a lot. And I know
Definitely.
you have it. So we really appreciate you being here, brother. It's good to
Definitely.
hear from you.
I'm glad to be here, glad to see your face, and I would like to say this one thing is transitioning is a never ending state of mind. It's an everyday thing. We all have to be there for one another, and when you see one person struggle, we gotta learn to pick each other up. So one, because you never know. Some days my pack feels heavy, and some days you text me and you let me know, hey, things gonna be all right and this and that, and that keeps me, small things like that keeps me and can help somebody else, and keep going keep going for a little bit longer. So I still struggle with my demons every day, and but like I say, I am open. You know that about me. I've always been an open person, and I'm very receptive to hear other people's criticism, as well as other, I'm open to getting even more help, especially transitioning from the Marine Corps to law enforcement. Sometimes I wonder, man, why did I do that? But at the same time, I felt like
I'll give you my answer to that. You're doing it because you like to give. You're a giver and you're
right,
still serving. Not only are you serving the country, you're serving the people in the Atlanta area. And I'm sure you're going to be a favorite amongst those people there. I
definitely
mean, there's another fellow Marine and police officer, Chris Lawrence, who's a police officer in Chula Vista, and he has a similar attitude. He served in Afghanistan also
right,
and hit it, but it's the same. It's a denominator, and hopefully, and we'll get into it more later on. But hopefully, people will follow that lead, especially when you say when you're down, you've got myriad people you can text to keep in touch with. Because I
absolutely
know I've done contacts and Zoom interviews with people where we both know. One of which is Christian. You remember Christian Vaca? Well,
right.
Christian, we just did a Zoom interview. I'm waiting for him to approve it so I can post it up here. We did another one with Kelly. Remember Kelly Cardinal?
Right.
And Kelly is now working in a brewery in San Marcos. So
Awesome.
people are all over the place. They're getting through, and everybody has the same struggles. Only you articulate it well. Thank you. And you seem to be doing really well. You've always been able to handle things of that sort because we threw a lot of stuff at you and threw a lot of stuff at everybody at Bagby's on Fridays. They were, uh, I found them to be very beneficial, and I'm sure everybody else will too. And that's one of the reasons we have this podcast, so people throughout the country and throughout the world can stay in touch with one another.
Absolutely.
So, brother, you keep up the good work, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, brother. You take good care. Okay.
All right, have a good day.
All right. Love you, man.
Love you too. Semper Fi.
Hoorah.
All right. So we have a few more that are joining us
Okay.
sitting in the green room.
Mhm.
Right now we have Peter Hirsch.
Peter
Uh,
Harsh. Yeah.
Harsh. Peter Harsh.
Yeah.
So once Peter Harsh gets set up and everything, we'll bring him in.
Okay. Little background on Peter Harsh. Peter Harsh is a prosthetist. He runs Peter Harsh Prosthetics. We may even have a picture of him somewhere along the line. And Peter and I have known one another for years now, 5, 6, 7 years. Peter is a triathlete and he keeps people active. And the motto of Peter Harsh Prosthetics is an active life continues. And he shows these amputees that you have to keep active and keep in order to mollify your demons. And you'll see a success story when we get to Chris Lawrence, who is like myself, below the knee amputee, suffered horrendous injuries in Afghanistan, and has come up and risen through the ranks and done an inspiring job. Hopefully, Chris, if he doesn't come on today, we'll do another interview with him. Very charismatic guy. He's a police officer in Chula Vista, as well as many other people. So when Peter comes on, we'll chat about some of the success stories he has had and known.
All right. So right now we're waiting on Peter. Okay. So Peter, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and bring you on, and so Peter's joining us via phone. Peter, can you hear us? In the bottom left-hand corner, you should see a little mic. Go ahead and make sure that your mic, or if you do have video, is unmuted.
Peter must be on the road.
And so while he's still working on that, I think let's go ahead and give him a few minutes for that.
Okay, we'll be back to you, Peter.
All right. It looks like we have. Let's see here. Give me one moment. Uh,
See, when we're working with fellow Marines, what we say, it's close enough for government work. So nothing's going to be exact here. We'll work at it. Hopefully, you're not coming into a hot LZ and people are shooting, or you're not waiting for a chopper to come in and pick you up.
um, what we could do, Pat,
Tell me.
for Peter, if we don't get this situated, maybe what we could do is have him call on the phone, and
Fine.
then you can have him right on the phone if you want
We
to do
can
it that way.
we can do it that way. That's fine. If that's
Okay.
okay with Peter, what we intend to do, just for future reference, is we're going to do a live podcast at Peter Horse Prosthetics, and Peter's going to do an exam of my leg and fit it and see if I need a new socket and show you what goes on, and he'll probably introduce you to other combat vets as well as his staff because he does a great job over there. Peter is really a valuable resource for combat vets.
So, all right, I'll see if this time it works with Peter. Peter, if you can hear us, I don't think we have your audio coming in, but I do see your screen share. Um, but the screen share, it's the button right next to it says for camera. You could press V on your keyboard, and that might unmute your camera. But if not, Peter, one other way that we can do it is if you give Pat a call on a cell phone, we can bring you into the studio that way too.
Or I can call you, Pete.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give him a call,
See if we
and
can
then
find Peter. Okay.
just put it on speakerphone, and
Okay.
and then just keep it close to the mic.
All right. Let's see if we can find my phone.
All right.
Peter, are you on your cell phone? I assume you are.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
So right now we're calling Peter.
Okay.
So give us one moment, and we will have him live on the phone. Have him on speakerphone.
Hello?
Hey, Pete, is that you?
Yeah, that's me. Sorry, guys. It keeps denying my video and my audio. It would not let me change it. It kept saying microphone permission denied.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to set up another day where we get that stuff prepped in advance.
Yeah,
But thank you
I
for.
can see and hear you guys, no problem.
Well, you know what it is, Peter. We got you know how to put the logistics together. You know how to get down to micromanaging prosthetics and doing these whatever special. You did a special knee, I mean a special ankle for me. I know I was with Chris Lawrence the other day, and he was waxing eloquently about how you made a special foot and ankle for him to get through the police academy when he did it. And yet you can't outsmart a phone. Come on, Peter.
Can't, you know what? I never said I was technically savvy or smart.
Well, we won't tell the people at Oser that.
Yeah. Oh, they know.
So, Peter, what I'd like you to do, I know you've been down this road and we've spoken on myriad occasions about, people you've served, who you have been serving, combat amputees who you've lost. And what I'd like you to do is, if you've been listening to this, I'd like you to get into some pleasant memories of people who are no longer with us, people who are going down and doing well. And one guy in particular, as a matter of fact, I brought him up with when I was with Brian Meyer the other day, is David Lyons. Remember David? Bilateral
Yeah.
above the knee amputee, a really exceptional guy. And you got pretty close with David. And he passed on from what I think the Navy said was a quote unquote stroke. I don't know if anybody ever really knew what. Could you tell us some pleasant memories about David? I know he's an inspiration for me. Could you share some of the stuff?
You know, Dave was one of those men that came back from Afghanistan and, had some real severe trauma and injuries, multiple limb loss, and very complex. But, David always had a very positive frame of mind. He was always pushing the limits, trying to make sure he was staying in his legs and staying active and staying in the gym. But on top of that, he was an incredible father to his son, Ethan. And I still keep in touch with Gordon Lyon still today. That's David's father.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a businessman too. He was always he started a company with our good buddy Andrew Botrell there. They started that Battlefield Vodka Company out of Russia.
I recall that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think today he's the only U.S. military to be asked to speak in Red Square there in Moscow, and he spoke in front of, I think, thousands of Russian veterans at the time. I think Andrew was over there with him. I don't know all the details, but Dave was always working. He liked his Jeep. He had just loved his car. He's took very good care of his son, but at the same time, he had a lot of injuries and always pushing the limits. I always say he started the first drive-through prosthetics. He would roll up to the back door of PHP there, and he'd have Stanley the pup in there and his son, and he's like, "Hey, can you trim this down and do a little work on this?" And he'd hand it off to us, and he would come back a couple hours later. So no, unfortunately, I actually talked to David on a Saturday morning. I was actually flying, going over to Austria, and I can still remember a day and a half later waking up to a call from his father saying he had passed away. But he's one of those guys, one of those men that he just kept pushing. He didn't give up. He was the one that says, "Okay, this happened to me, but I have to keep going for my son." And I never could remember hearing David complain. And of
Never.
course, I lost many other patients since that time, as you know, some suicide, some unexplained illness, and some cancer, military veterans.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's one that stands out at the top.
Well, David was always motivating. I know I oftentimes got together with David for lunch, and he was part of that bomb tech group. It includes
DOD, yeah.
DOD. Well, I think Brian Meyer, they call them bomb techs. And notwithstanding what branch of the service they were in, because David was Marine Staff Sergeant, and then you have Andrew. I like to call him Angry Andrew. He always seemed to have a, an edge about him. And Andrew was Navy, but they went to that same bomb tech school, and these guys had a very close knit group, and especially David and Andrew. They seemed to be very close. I think, as a matter of fact, I think Andrew wound up with Stanley, the puppy, didn't he?
He did, and then Andrew was blessed with a daughter, and unfortunately, his daughter was allergic to dogs. So,
Oh, really? Well,
Stanley was able to go to another family. Yeah.
but that was good. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you for sharing that about David, because not many people knew him that well. Do you have any other
Yeah.
guys that you know, people you know? I know there was, I don't want to get into anything where somebody actually precipitated their step off into eternity, but some funny or motivating stories such as that you just share with us. Now, keeping in mind that we are going to do a live podcast right at Peter Harsh Prosthetic. I want to set that up sometime in June. Guess I got to get it on the calendar where you can actually do an exam of my leg and cut it down or whatever else we need to do with the prosthetic. But in the meantime, could you think of any other interesting stories that you want to share with us on Memorial Day?
Well, specifically to maybe a service member passing away. Is that?
Yeah, somebody who's no longer with us. Whatever happened to them? I mean, maybe
Yeah.
somebody went back in there. It's a more or
I
less
think we should.
a happy story. Go ahead. It's up to you, Peter.
Yeah. I think we should talk about Lamb. I always say Lamb was my toughest Marine.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he got cancer.
Okay.
And he was a below the knee amputee. And
where did he serve? Where did he serve, Peter?
He was a Marine.
But where did he serve? What?
Well, I believe he was over in Iraq for a bit, and then I think Afghanistan as well. I don't know all of his tours.
Okay,
but,
I just wanted to hear it. That's good. Iraq, Afghanistan. That's good.
Yeah, but don't quote me on that. I know he was. I don't know every time. I had so many different Marines. Some were in Africa. Some were,
sure.
Just veterans in general. They go all over, as you know. But he had a very short amputation, and he was another. Never complained. Walked in with a smile on his face.
Mm-hmm.
He played tennis with his wife. He got into competitive tennis.
Wow.
He loved to surf. He was always out in the water. He married his high school sweetheart. And he battled cancer for years and years and years. And unfortunately, he lost his battle with the cancer after that.
That sounds like he had a happy life, though. He made it pretty well, and he was doing well with the,
Never complained. Had a lovely wife. He did. Traveled over to Hawaii to do some tournaments and to surf. And again, he was one of those, cancer and going through chemo and battling the challenges of an amputation. And he always had a smile on his face. He was always very great.
Well, I think
he was my toughest guy.
I think it's fair to say, Peter, anybody who is a patient of Peter Harsh Prosthetics more or less has to be active because you're such an active guy. I don't know if you're still a competitive triathlete, but you've done a bunch of triathlons, and you had we had your run clinic. I know I was part of that for a while. We had a bunch of guys there, and I've seen guys, bilateral amputees, doing amazing things. They just want to keep active, and you stress that, and you're available for your 24/7 care. I know that. Matter of fact, I remember you calling me one night when I was in MMA and my foot fell off. And actually, I had something on Facebook about it. And you called me the next day, and you said, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And it was just a matter of foot fell off, and I was kicking the bag. And Chris Lawrence happened to have a an Allen wrench, and we put it back together. But you've always been available for people there, so we appreciate it, and we will do a full interview with you, and I'll set it up with your staff. How's that, brother?
Sounds good, Pat.
You have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
So we got a couple other people in the green room. One that's watching is Abe.
Abe,
so
We better get Abe while Abe's in a good mood.
Well, that's up to him. He's
Abe, are you in a good mood? You better be in a good mood, brother. I don't want you in a bad mood. I've seen you in bad moods.
he's never. So, Abe, are you okay to come on screen with Pat? Just give a thumbs up if you are. All right, we'll hold off.
Abe's not sure.
All right, well that's okay. And yeah, because definitely, we've been there, and it's a supportive community.
Sure,
So
of
it's
course.
definitely
Well, Abe and I go back a ways. Abe's got an interesting history. He came over from Liberia when he was about 8 or 9 years old. His family had to smuggle him out of Liberia, and I won't get into too much of a detail because I want to do a full interview with Abe. And he wound up in Staten Island, New York, where he stayed till he was about 17, 18 years old. And then he enlisted in the Corps. He did about 15 years, some heavy, heavy action in Iraq and Afghanistan. And he's one of my favorite people. We worked out together for several years, and he was part of our Friday Night Bagbeat group. And Abe, I hope you liked hearing from Antoine because he was talking about you, as Christian was before that. So that should embolden you to get your butt on the phone there and talk to us. Who else do we have here? Anybody else want to talk to us?
so it looks like we've got one more, but internet quality is sort of down right now. I'm also waiting on a message from Joe. So we've also got another one that just joined us. But one second, let me check on messages. Um, but yeah, it looks like we got about two in the queue. So
All right.
we'll see if we'll hold off for a second for Abe. I want to make sure that anybody and everybody's comfortable. So
Sure.
it's definitely you know that's the reason why I'm behind the camera.
Go ahead.
So
Go get it, Abe.
so,
Abe probably wants to Abe probably wants to make sure he's mellow for a while before he gets on there. That's fine.
yeah. So, but yeah, I'm definitely interested to hear about the VFW. With the Joe, see how that service and celebration went. So,
I'm sure it goes like most of those people go. I want the guys who are deep sixing and you don't hear from otherwise, and Abe's one of them. Actually, Antoine is too. Aaron also. These guys you wouldn't hear from otherwise. So I'm glad to see they've come on and shared their stories with us because these guys are good. And Peter Harsh is a great resource for any amputee who's out there. If you have any problems, go there to see that. Who else is available here?
so that's it right now. What I could do is I can mention for we got a few viewers right now.
Hmm.
Just a real quick recap about the podcast, and I can bring that up. And I know you talked about it a little bit before, but for those that have just joined us, what is the premise? Why did you want to get this started?
Well, I think the main reason was I've seen people who are wallowing, excuse me, in quiet desperation. People who've been out of the any branch of military. As a matter of fact, it doesn't have to only be the Marine Corps, Army, Navy, even Air Force. And when they've been in combat, they're traumatized physically as well as mentally. And I believe that the mental trauma is probably worse than the physical trauma. One triggers the other. And I just want to show that people have made it, people have progressed and done well. Uh, you've got Christian Vakov, which we spoke, and we have Christian's interview. I've done him with the Zoom interview on him. And Christian has his problems with several tours, myriad tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he's now on the computers. He's going through, he's taking courses at Maricosta College as well as working at the Veterans Center in Oceanside, and he's helping veterans. He seems to be doing more or less following Joe Sturdivant's lead. But Kristen is moving on and taking courses and doing well there, as is Joe Sturdivant himself. Joe is always taking further courses, he's got at least one master's degree, and I think he's out looking for another. He wants to do it. We have many stories like that. And I think it's motivating for those who are out there thinking about what they're going to do with their lives. And if nothing else, they can go as you did, Michael, and start at places like Miracosta College and struggle your way through there. And there are myriad veterans at Miracosta, aren't there?
Well, yeah, and it's I'm laughing because that's a part of my life that's, like any good Marine, just like, oh, I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna get it done in 2 years. My first semester, I failed my first class, and I failed like seven more. I actually got F's on my transcript, but and it took me 6 years, and it put a strain on my family. There's many things that happen. But if it wasn't for the support systems, if
Hmm.
it wasn't for the veteran community, I would have never made it.
Well,
Um,
since I have you out here and we had your attention focused, how about an anecdote from you about someone who is no longer with us, who lost their life in combat or otherwise? Do you have any interesting stories you want to share with us?
so Justin,
Justin.
we
Okay.
lost him in Iraq, bomb tech,
Okay.
um, and he had just this smile and this aurora, this atmosphere around him, even
Hmm.
in those moments of stress and chaos, that had you smiling and happy.
Okay.
And it was, it just, and I think Aaron brought it up earlier. Sometimes we forget the names. It's that mental block and stuff
Sure.
like that. And but Justin reminds me to always keep smiling, no matter what's going on, no matter how bad it is, because at the end of the day, when you look to your left or your right, when somebody sees that smile, it can make a difference in the world.
Sure. Your glass is half full as opposed to half empty.
Yeah.
And there are too many combat vets, unfortunately, who think their glass has to be not to mention what they fill it up with, uh, half empty and keep trying to fill it up. Whereas if it's half full, you just go on with your life. It's an interesting metaphor, but that's really what we have to do, and that's part of the purpose of this podcast. It's get things moving along and get move along with your lives. You happen to be doing well because you have a wife who is also a combat vet, and you've got a good support group. Antoine, as we saw, is doing quite well. He's got a new wife. He he actually had a successful bout of through cancer. He overcame that, and he's going on with his life. He's doing real well. And we have myriad other people that are out there doing this stuff and are moving. Uh, Brian Meyer, you'll see that in his interview. Brian is knows what he wants to do. He's doing his business thing. He's moving around, thinking about forming, in a process of forming, a cannabis company, because he believes that that's an effective way in which to deal with your physical as well as the emotional maladies. And I'm a strong believer in that myself. But that's really where we're at in this podcast. I think we want to show people it can be done. And if you can suffer the injuries, physical injuries, that people like Brian Meyer has, and have his attitude, and have his charisma, and have his zeal to do things, then people who really haven't had any significant physical injuries can get over their psychological maladies and go on with their lives.
Yeah, well, we definitely got a few more minutes
Okay.
before we wrap things up.
Okay.
I think that Abe is looking at possibly coming on, so we'll give him a few more minutes.
Come on, brother. Get it on there, Abe.
But
Put your shirt on and get on there, Abe.
either way, we want to definitely thank the veteran community. Thank you for your service, and I thank you for definitely still serving. Because we serve in different ways now, even
Sure.
after military service, and I think that serving fellow veterans is probably the one of the higher priorities that we could do besides serving God or our own well being. So
There are myriad charities out there. There are ways in which people deal with different things in this country and in other countries. I believe that our focus should be on fellow combat vets because I know in my generation, those who served in Vietnam, there are too many veterans from served in Vietnam who are wallowing around in self pity on chemical excursions, Some are out there in the desert with their Harleys or whatever they happen to be on, and different cocktails, staying as high as possible or just staying in the sight. And I don't think it's the way to go. The way to go is the way we've seen some people do it. And most of the people with whom I interact have served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I've seen many go through, and we've shepherded many through different junior colleges, even graduate schools to keep them going. As a matter of fact, when we get Chris Lawrence on there, Chris Lawrence is actually contemplating going to law school, he told me the other day, which is music to my ears because he will help people and go on doing it. I think that's really important for us to want to do that. So hopefully this podcast will help motivate you folks. So we want you to share whatever you're happening, whatever you're doing at the time. Even if there are challenges we can help you with or your fellow combat vets can help you with. How's Abe doing? Is he gonna come talk to us or no?
So, Abe, if you're ready, you could give us a thumbs up. If not, just hang out. We're supporting you, brother. We're here for you. Um, and I think let me check to see if Joe's ready because we got a few more minutes before we wrap up here.
Okay.
So,
Joe's out leading the parade.
all right. So I think Abe's ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring Abe in.
Right.
So 1 second.
There he is. Give me a smile, Abe. Come on.
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Smile, bro. Give me that smile. I got all these pictures up here. I'm showing people with you smiling. I want to see that smile. Give me that shit eating grin you got, man. What are you doing? How's it going?
I don't know what it is.
Well, I think part of your challenge is you want to go
I'm
to
having a
really.
pretty difficult time hearing you come through.
How's that? Is that a little better? Are you on your iPhone, Abe?
No, I'm on my end.
So tell
Did
us
you
how
get
you're
that?
feeling, man. I'm here. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can see you, but I can barely hear you.
Do you want me to call you on your phone? Shall we do it on phone chat to go along with the video so I can see and talk to you?
Yeah, we can do it.
Let's do it that way.
Okay.
We just did it anyway.
How are you gonna do it? Right now, I got.
What do you have now?
I'm sitting at 2 bucks.
Okay.
All right.
See if we can get you here.
You call it my iPhone, or you got you?
I'm calling your iPhone.
Hey,
Are you there?
that.
Yeah, I got you, brother. I got you. Can
All
you?
right, it's a little better.
All right, good, good. So tell me what's going on, brother.
Yeah, not much. Worked yesterday, had a day off today. But just doing what I can, stay busy, stay focused on where I need to be.
All right, now what kind of work are you doing, Abe?
I work for a designer flooring company for the most part,
Okay.
and it's just 4 of us, including the boss, and it's no corporate office, so it's pretty decent as far as just being in a place where you don't have to deal with a lot of silliness, to put simply.
In other words, you don't have to deal with the public.
Yeah. Yeah, I was working at Tractor Supply, and that was a no-go for me.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily for me, but I liked working there. It's just people are gonna be who they are, and I don't have it in me to not make corrections where corrections are due.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of being in a situation where I could end up snapping on somebody, I removed myself from the situation. So I left them,
Mhm.
and went to go find a new job. Well, before I left them, I went to go find a new job and got this one pretty quickly. I was actually looking for a welding job, found these guys, and they made me an offer. And yeah, by the time I held out on my end with my 2 weeks notice, the very next day after my 2 weeks was up, I went to work for these guys and been working for them since.
How long have you been working for these folks, Abe?
It's been about a month.
Okay, and you find it enjoyable. Now
It's
I know you just came
I
back
find it
from. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I find it to be pretty decent, busy work.
Okay, that's good. Now you ultimately want to go out and get and start your own landscaping company, correct?
Well, it's going to be more on landscaping. I want to kind of have a primary, secondary, and tertiary plan as far as landscaping maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
commercial and real estate, cleaning, and pickup and delivery service. So
Okay.
that way, no matter what, no matter how the clients behave, I don't have to do what they want me to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to cause me to be triggered in any way. If they're being uncooperative and unreasonable, okay, fine. I'll move on to the next job. Goodbye.
Well, my empirical experience with you has been you're really good at taking charge of things. I mean, you've moved about 4 or 5 people, fellow Marines, as far as I remember, to different places, and you're really great at it. I know in particular we have a picture of you up here with Christian, and we moved Christian from one apartment to the next, and you were really in charge. You loaded up a couple of trucks, you were tying everything down, you moved everybody in and out, and there was no bullshit. You just had everything down, and I assume that's the kind of work you're going to do when you have your landscaping company. You'll say, "I know it has to be done. It just let me do it. I'll trim your trees, I'll cut your lawn, or whatever else." Is that what you envision in your landscaping company, brother?
Yeah, for the most part, I want to start out working out with just myself, find contracts. Pretty much what I was doing when I got here to Arizona, I pretty much started helping out my neighbors. A lot of them are old. I love it here. They're fucking, it's an old ass community. Most of these people are in their 60s plus,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So a lot of times I look around the neighborhood, see how their property's looking, and if their property looks terrible, then I go talk to them and see if they need help, and that's what I've been doing. I've been doing it for free for them because, they can't do it themselves, so if I volunteer to do it, pretty much I gain the experience
Sure.
to how to get it done and how to improve the process as I go forward into the future. And two, bring a little bit of happiness to them.
Speaking of happiness, Abe, I know you bring happiness around most of the people when you're in a good mood. I've learned that at Bagby's and even working out with you. Can you share some interesting or funny stories about people you've served with who are no longer with us? I don't want to get into triggering anything that's going to make you feel bad, so don't do that. But just some happy thoughts about guys you're with and something where you had a good time with somebody, whether you're on R&R, whether you're serving with them, what you did, and so forth. Because I know everyone likes you that were with you. So, what do you think? Is there anybody in particular that comes to mind on Memorial Day? Somebody you had a good time with, and no longer here, but you can think of some fond memories. You still with me, Abe?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
It's just I don't have those kind of memories.
Okay.
I don't focus on those kind of memories. A lot
Okay.
of people that are dead and gone,
Okay.
I never really had the opportunity to spend much time with them while they were still alive.
Okay.
I was more focused on getting me to the best position I can possibly be in order to make sure that those under my charge come home alive.
Okay.
That's
Well,
where my has always been. I've
just
never been a I don't know. I've never focused on the happiness part of things. I've always focused on what needs to be done and how to get it done.
I know you
That's
like to take care
the
of
part.
people. I remember on myriad occasions you would tell me about how you were with Jeremy, how you guys served together, Jeremy and Mike, I believe, and what you would do together. And you would even have to make sure he got home after we had our rendezvous at Bagby's because he'd want to go somewhere else and eat and drink. And you're the guy that got him home. Uh, you seem to gain pleasure from helping people like that. Is that fair to say?
I do.
Good. So tell me something. Do you miss California at all?
No,
Okay, you're happy in Arizona.
no, not at all.
All right. You think you're going to stay in Arizona or are you still planning on moving to Hawaii?
Nope, I'm still planning on moving to Hawaii.
Do you have
I'm
any
still
kind of,
planning on starting a business. I'm still planning on uh, getting whatever source of income I can going so that I can buy my solo yacht and move into the ocean. You know,
okay. Okay. Well, hopefully you'll get from point A to point C quickly. Do you have a timetable as to when you plan on moving to Hawaii?
August time frame, whether it be the beginning or the end. It'll probably end up
Good.
being the end.
All right. Well, I'm sure
I
we'll
want to
keep.
give these guys an opportunity to find a replacement for me before I end up pulling shots and heading out of here.
Well, that's going to be hard to do if you stay there for a long time because I know your work ethic. Okay, brother. Well, it's good talking to you, and I want to do a full Zoom interview with you at another time. Maybe even stop out there and see you. You're not that far from California. So, unless there's something else you want to add, by the way, if you were watching the podcast, Antoine sends his regards. He's doing well. And I interviewed Kelly the other day, and he's doing well. He's working in a brewery here. He sends his regards. And we did an interview with Christian. He sends his regards. That's out there too. So I just want to let you know everybody's thinking about you. And I'm sure you stay in touch with these guys via text, but it's good to know that it happens on, on full Zoom videos or in person with a lot of people.
Yeah, brother.
Okay. Well, you have a great day, brother. Okay.
Too, sir.
Take care. Happy
Take care
Memorial
now.
Day. All right. Semper Fi.
Bye.
All right. So we got Joe. Joe's getting ready to call in,
Joe's going to call in. All right.
and I think we'll wrap up with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will be a good.
That'd be a good wrap. Yeah, we've been going for an hour,
Yeah.
over an hour. That's nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think
That's some good moves.
yeah, some great call-ins, and I think some great stories, and I
Yeah.
think some great sharing experiences. Of authenticity where we're at. So
Yeah.
not just it's not all flowers.
No.
It's just like the meme. Didn't Rinkware didn't promise us a rose garden. Life after the military is not always the best
Well,
too.
I
So
think it's fair to say, Michael, that that most people don't know what they're getting into when they go into the Corps. None of us do. Uh, I've heard people say, snipers and people that are really into the heavy stuff, they enjoy being in the Corps because it's the only place they can get away with murder. But the problem is transferring at those whatever you learn in combat or in the military over in the civilian life is a problem. And as you can tell from listening to Abe, he has his challenges with people, and that's not uncommon. I think it's good to have people around that are going to help you. And you speak about roses and flowers. Well, what we didn't want were the graves under the flowers coming out today. What we wanted were some happy thoughts,
yeah,
and I think we got those. We achieved those,
but
and
I
it's
think
great to pay tribute to those guys, as they say, stand for the flag and kneel for the fallen. And we're happy to do that, but we want to think of some good times with people. And in the future, and on this podcast, I want to dive more deeply into this transition stuff and hopefully help them. And as we go along, I want to be able to say, yeah, Brian Meyer is in his business and he's working along and he's got thus and so done and bringing in his partners. And Abe has moved on to Hawaii and has his landscaping business doing and so forth. That's what I'm looking forward to in future podcasts. Do we have do we have Big Joe?
Yes, he's
I see
ready.
his smiling face there.
Hey, brother. Hey, I'm sorry.
Hey, Joe, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear. It was a good message,
All right,
man.
brother. How you doing?
I'm,
Did you,
I'm,
did
I'm,
you ring in Memorial Day with all the vets down there? Where were you?
man, I'm down here in Solano Beach, man. There's a 105-year-old World War II veteran that's still standing
All
on his
right.
damn feet. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know
it's,
what you're
it's
saying.
nice. Yeah, it's nice out here, man. They actually have going to come on out here 2 o'clock. We got dance, live music. We got food right now. So,
Oh,
y'all can come
really?
on out here and do something. Yeah, oh, yeah, oh,
Hmm.
yeah. Nice little spread of people out here, too. So,
My, I intend to join that to go to their monthly meetings. As a matter of fact, I didn't think anybody existed in that place until you told me. 'Cause I've always seen the flags out there flying, but I've tried to knock on the door a few times or call and nothing is there. So I do plan on making it, but I'm glad to see you're there. So you see some happy folks there then, huh? You got a World War II vet. What's going on with your World War II vet? He must have some good stories for you, huh? Are you with us, Joe? Joe
Yep.
looks here, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, we could see Joe, but can't hear you right now. You might hit the mute button. But it also the internet strength looks like it's a little bit down.
Oh,
But if you want to give him a call,
let's
you can
see.
bring him in.
You want me to call you, Joe?
Yeah, so Joe, Pat's gonna give you a call real quick on your phone, and we'll bring you in via phone.
There you go. Okay, let's go give it a shot, Joe. That smiling face and the voice to go with it, Joe. Can you hear me, Joe?
hello?
Can you hear me, Joe?
I don't know what happened to the volume. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I
Excuse me.
can't. So we're off the streaming, right?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to you. I think and Michael said the internet there isn't too good out there.
Yeah, it's not.
Unless your attention is going somewhere else. So you were telling us about the World War II vet. Tell us a little more about him.
Yeah, I want to try. I'm gonna try to go back in here. Let me try. I'm gonna try one more time.
Okay. Well, I can hear you very well.
Right. So I guess I was standing outside to get fresh air, and then I guess it works better inside the car. That's what happened.
That's what it was. You were doing well in the car. Yeah.
Yeah. So the car has internet in it. So I guess.
Oh, I see. You got the bandwidth stronger, I guess.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and I'm back up and I can see you. I can see you loud and clear.
Good.
Charlie, but get the phone in your hand. Okay, cool. Now let me put my camera back on.
All right. There you go. I think we can see you as well. There you go.
You got an echo. Hold on. Let me turn the volume down.
Okay.
Is that better?
That's fine with me. Can you hear me all right, Joe?
I'm gonna disconnect you from the phone. That's why we got an echo.
Okay, you got it made now. Now, were you back? Are you back?
Yeah. So Joe, we can see you nice and clear. Can you hear us?
No,
All
I gotta
right,
call him. Let me call him. Wait.
No, wait, hold on, Pat. So Joe, you might have the mic muted.
Do you have your mic muted on there, Joe?
My mic is on. Yes.
His mic is on. Okay. Your mic is on. Your sunglasses are on.
The mic is on. Yeah.
Mic's on. Sunglasses are on. The video's off. I can see you. You and Michael must have been a hell of a pair when you served together, huh?
There you go.
There you go. All right, we got you now. I think we got you now.
Yeah, we just don't have his audio coming in.
I got him on the phone.
Yeah, but
there you go.
He's gonna have an echo on his end.
Okay.
So
can you comprehend what we're saying, Joe?
Yes, I can.
So tell me what you're doing there before you got cut off again. But I can see you. We can see you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear. You're asking me to tell you
what? Good.
There we go.
Yeah, all right, loud and clear is what we want.
So I was talking about the World War II veteran that I met. Gentleman, he was an admiral, but he came here out today too. He's 105 years old. But
Wow.
the gentleman, the vice commander of one of the Legion posts, gave a solemn reminder of the sacrifices of those veterans that are gone before us. And I like his perspective. He didn't read from a script, but he spoke from the heart. And so as they was doing a roll call of all the local veterans that have passed, they ring a bell, and I got chills for each bell that rang from individuals. I know one gentleman that I went to 2 years ago that was an extraordinary Marine. He fought in Guadalcanal, and he was a very humble gentleman. But when I didn't know the amount of stuff that he did until after he passed. I mean, he was a community leader. He did volunteer work. He did carpentry work. He did stuff in the church. He did a lot of stuff in the post. And this bio was just amazing. Just amazing Marine. That I think he passed away. He was 88 years of age, but
Hmm.
Silver Star recipient, and just a humble guy. When you meet him, just a very humble person. I was just like, wow. I had an opportunity to work with this guy, so it's just amazing the stuff that veterans do for the communities after they get out of the service and continue to keep that legacy alive. So
It sounds like something you can aspire to, Joe. You're well on the way of doing that.
I'm aspiring to just to do my part, which is not to become an obstacle or a burden, but also to be like that light, because a lot of people have a lot of darkness because of things that they experienced and seen from combat and also in the military. And so always trying to offer a positive perspective. Just be positive.
You are the
Um,
light at the end of the tunnel for many Marines, including Michael here. He shared some of the stories you've helped him with. And I know there are many people, including myself, you've helped at the VA when anytime they have a challenge, they'll come to you and you're able to resolve it for them. So we appreciate that continued service you're doing to the
Well, I
country.
know what it's like. I know what it's. Thank you very much. I know what it's like to be out there on post in a lonely post. You're out there freezing to death. You ain't got no fucking no hot chow. You got a little bit of water left, and ain't nobody coming for about 4 or 5 hours to give you some reprieve. So you just gotta be in your space. Enjoy the moment and be mindful of why you're out there. Again.
Well, it's even
Um,
more frustrating when you're trying to get through the bureaucratic mess you have at the VA oftentimes, where you can't get through there, and you get somebody it's been better. I have to admit it's been better. When I first started going to the VA, we would say it's the only place you can risk your life for your country another time. But things have gotten a lot better because of folks like you who are there. And you've oftentimes helped people get through this because they didn't know which way to go, and they found their way because of the way you shepherd them through things, whether it's taking them from one place to another or helping them with their vocational rehab or veterans court or veterans diversion programs, things of that sort. You're doing a great job with it, and you're an invaluable asset to combat vets who are out there. Every vet,
well,
but especially the combat vets who really need it. So obviously, you don't need too much more motivation, but if you do, then we'll supply it for you, brother.
awesome. Hoorah. Thank you. So I do apologize. I missed the outing. I mean, I love outings.
Hmm.
I don't really feel too much comfortable right now to go to certain establishments. But as things muster on down the road, I'll resume and be sociable activities. Anytime hang out with fellow veterans is always a good time for me. I mean, I always have
Yeah.
a great time just to be around the brotherhood and sisterhood of people that have served. And because you can talk about things and feel like everything nobody's judging you. It's like conversation is conversation. Business is business. You know, so
Well, you need a
nobody.
comfort level and a trust level, and you instill that in fellow combat vets when they're
Yeah.
around you. You just enjoy being around vets, and they enjoy being around you. So I think
And it's
it's a
not
good thing.
right. It's not about telling war stories. It's just being together, sharing like experiences, talking about things that are very common and similar, and then growing from that and building from their experience, not giving anecdotals or anecdotes to, hey, here's how you fix the problem, but like, you know what? I've tried this. This worked for me, you know. And so I'm not telling you to try, but these are some options, you know. It's like finding an a la carte menu. You know, I like what Jim said. I like what Michael said. I like what Chris had to say. It was pretty powerful stuff, you know. So and then you can look at their own lives, that their manifestations are nothing but fruitful things in their lives. Like, you know, guy turned out to be a police officer, man. Like, dude, with the many challenges that he had to get to that space in his life, he had a heart to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. He had a warrior's heart. And so that stuff like that inspires me and it motivates me. So hanging around
Well,
people like that
speaking
is
of
great.
which, speaking of which, Joe, we hope to see you at Hennessy's on Friday because we missed you last week. As a matter of fact, both Chris and Tehran were talking about it, and even Brian and myself. So hopefully you'll find that in your be able to fit us in your schedule on Fridays for the rendezvous. I know you made it a few times to Bagby's, or a lot of
Yeah,
times to Bagby's, but I'd like to see you check this place out in Hennessy's in Carlsbad because
yeah.
we can always use your smiling face and charisma.
I give it some time. Yeah, most definitely. Any place to hang out with some good food. You know, I like to eat. So I'm
Yeah, well,
about
there's
that
some
damn
good
food.
food there. There's
I'm
some pretty
about
good
that
food
damn
there.
food. Right. I'm not a drinker, but I'm about that damn food.
Well, we'll feed you, brother. Don't worry about it. They got some pretty good burgers and stuff there. Not to
Nice,
mention other
nice.
stuff. All right,
Okay.
brother. Well, you keep up the good work, and you know what? What'd you say? You're gonna be there until 2?
Well, so actually, I have to meet somebody at my residence at 1 o'clock. So I have to do two stops to do something before I get there. So I'm gonna stay, hang out a little bit, get some food. So yeah, they're gonna be here for two. They still got food. So yeah,
I may
listen.
stop over. I'll see if I can make it, but for sure, the next time there's a meeting there, I want to meet you there because I like to meet those
June
folks.
the 10th. Yeah, June is our
June
next
10th.
meeting.
I'll
So
put it on my
yeah.
calendar.
Okay, cool. Well, I want to thank
All right.
Michael for hosting this again. This is awesome stuff. Looking forward to seeing some of the feedback from some of the interviews and
Yeah.
posts.
So Joe, if your episode is up already, so if you go check out the website, you can start sharing it either on YouTube or on the website. We can see your smiling face in the museum, so it's already up and live.
Nice, cool. Well, y'all have a wonderful Memorial Day, and I know it's a day of reverence, a day. You know, I like the opening statement. You never would say. It's not even appropriate to say Happy Memorial Day. It's not about being happy. It's about acknowledging
No.
those that have given their sacrifice of their lives to serve their fellow men and women. You know, and to keep the sacredity of our freedom here in America. So that's what I like about that today's day.
Well said, brother. You have a great day.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Take
All right.
Semper
care.
Thank
Fi.
you, Joe.
All
Rob.
right.
Right.
Semper Fi. Hoorah.
Right.
All right. Well, definitely thank everybody for tuning in. Um, I appreciate the support. I know you can't see me because I'm sitting behind the camera over here, but
Mhm.
thank you for your service. Pat, do you have any final words
Yeah,
before we
I'd
sign
like
off?
to say we'd like to hear what everybody has to say. You've heard myriad stories today about people who are at different stages of their transition, people who have made it through, people who are helping other people, and people who are struggling. And I believe that you are there. So if you are happy with what you've seen, if you're happy with the podcast, then please do us a favor, do yourself a favor, give us a like, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. And be free with your comments. And remember what we say, you are the captain of your fate, and you are the masters of your soul. And we hope to see you for the next podcast. Take care.